Technology is changing. You could imagine that our founding fathers recruited more PLPs with less technology than we have today. And somehow, we aren't really exploiting it to our benefit. You can imagine that in the next general election, it will be much more trickier. There will be videos that you will be confused as to whether or not it's the prime minister or someone fake. That's the power and the direction that we're heading in. And I have no doubt that our opponents are going to exploit that technology to their advantage. And so the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we become the modern party of choice? How do we look modern? How do we feel modern? How do we connect with young Bahamians who say, I want to be a part of that organization because it reflects a modern Bahamas? How do we communicate to the Bahamian people that we are the only party that could deliver real change for the Bahamian people? And so, if you want to secure the next general election, we got to look modern. We got to sound modern. And we got to get there before the F of them get there. So, we got a small window of time, and the chairman said something important. The infrastructure of communicating as a government and the infrastructure as communicating as a party is two separate infrastructures. There's some things in government we can say, and there's some things in politics you could say. I think we could bridge this partnership. I could get you the information you need to communicate on behalf of the government. Someone said that I don't speak on behalf of the government. Yes, you do. As a PLP, you speak on behalf of the party. You are our biggest megaphone out there. And it's my job and the job of my colleagues to make sure that you have the information you need in that fight. And I think the challenge we have is that information isn't getting to the ground quick enough and fast enough. And that's something we got to fix. And then secondly, we have to take advantage of this technology. We know that there are more Bahamians getting their information through WhatsApp than through any other media in this country. And we know that there are more Bahamians who trust what they see on WhatsApp more than the news. And there are more Bahamians who get their information from Facebook than the news. So we aren't getting there quick enough and fast enough that vacuum gets filled. And sometimes in government it's hard to find what's true and what's not true. But like the chairman said, we got to fill that vacuum with something. And so at the same time, PLPs, for us to get weak knees. This is a fight. The F&M want to be government as bad as you want to stay there. As bad as you want to stay there, as bad as they want to be the government. And they're prepared. I see so much of them coming out of the woodworks now. Peter Turnquest, Marvin Dames getting an opinion, and Jeffrey Lloyd getting an opinion. Everyone becomes a specialist. You fail. I mean, Travis, giving comments on the sports center. You know? I mean, this is a guy who never went to work. And now becomes a specialist on what the government should and should not do. And you know what's so crazy about it? They have no shame. A government that failed in two crises, a government that left people in a container or for months, don't have the courage to lecture, to say what the PLP shouldn't do and couldn't do. This is a government, that was an administration that called an election because they ran out of ideas. And now all of a sudden, because things fixed now, country heading in the right direction, two airports on the way, two hospitals on the way. That's what they always do. We do the hard work and they say, give it to us afterwards. And in their mind, they subconsciously believe, get this, they subconsciously believe that every single administration only gets 5 years. So they're preparing for the government whether we accept it or not. It's up for us to make our case to the Bahamian people. Because the F&M believe if they just stand still, they ain't got to do nothing. We could just pick any of our candidates. This thing is ours. And so we got a question we got to ask ourselves, PLPs, what's at stake? All that hard work, all that digging, all that putting the country on the map, all that showing that the Bahamas may be small in size, but we are stronger in our diplomacy. getting kids back in school, negotiating for airports and hospitals. That's what's at stake. All of that hard work is at stake. And if we aren't prepared to fight for it, we aren't prepared to defend the party, if we aren't prepared to put our differences aside and our personalities aside and recognize that no one person owned the PLP. We aren't owners of this party, we are inheritors. And like the chairman say, our responsibility is to make sure that we take this organization and to hand it off to someone else. We could reflect on our history, but we gotta know that the PLP is not a monument, we're a movement. And we gotta go on to the next thing. And we gotta understand what's our new fight. We got independence, we have majority rule. What's that one fight where we are now? And there's now more than ever, there's a fundamental difference between the PLP and the FNM. And you want to know the answer to that? Ask for both Grand Bahama Port Authority. We couldn't be more separate on the issue. Matter of fact, I saw Pintard got offended in Parliament when Wayne Monroe told him that we understand what side you're on. He got, what you mean by that? Yeah, clearly we know which side they're on. And so for the people of this country, the people of this Grand Bahama, if you want any evidence of where they stand, and DJ was there, Minister Johnson was there, they spent the entire year negotiating the Hospital Creek Agreement, getting concessions, trying to find a middle ground. The first thing the FNM did, they didn't get their passports now, they get the cards. The first thing they did is repeal an exemption on the Grand Bahama Port Authority. So if you need any evidence to know where they stand, that's all the evidence you need. So this is fundamental. We do have different views on how Grand Bahama should be managed and run. And that's what's at stake. But I also want to speak about the obligation we have as a party. Because the politics of hope and the politics of fear is two different things. See, the politics of hope is that thing that we always have to remind ourselves that at the end of the day, politics is about lives and livelihoods. And when we say to the Bahamian people that we're delivering on a new day, they believe that. When we say that they're going to give their kids the best education and the best access to healthcare, and that the PLP is going to be the party that gives them the way up, they believe that. That's why it's important as an organization. Let's never take for granted the hope that we give them and inspiring them. Because the hope of the politics of affairs, Lincoln Bain telling you that the immigrants can take your country. You could fight that. But the most disappointing thing you could do in politics is to promise someone something and then don't do it. Because at the end of the day, this is about lives and livelihoods. This is about a mother. I was at Parliament the other day, and a guy came to me and said, you know, you showed me an insurance. He said I had to choose between paying buying medicine for his kids and for food. So there's no time for jokes. That's why people get so passionate and angry about politics, because they depend on their leaders and they depend on this vehicle as an organization. That I came to the party because my mother, who was a hotelier, and my daddy, who was a tradesman, my grandmother, who was a house worker, believe in this organization, showed me that this could be the party for people like me and that they can sign up for me. And I used to catch the bus from Montreal Avenue here every Sunday because I believe in this dream. It wasn't until the former prime minister told me that if I asked him how do I be successful in politics, he said, stay around long enough and you'll find out. And now I finally understand what that means. It's also important to say what's the difference between memberships, being a member of the PLP, and being a supporter of the PLP. I talk about dues and not paying your dues. Because being a member, you have a responsibility. So we got to expand our membership. We got to get new people into the fold. And so this you just reach culture can't work in politics. Because if you want to win an election, you need more than PLPs to win it. And people don't want to come and be a part of an organization if you can tell them, you just reach. Because time ain't no true measurement of effort. But some people could be around an organization for 10 years and don't do anything. And some will come in one day and do a whole lot. So we got to humble ourselves. Be open, be happy that people want to be a part of our organization, and they feel inspired by it. You shouldn't push them out. Now, I do agree that there are some persons who come to the party and exploit us for all the wrong reasons. And we got to deal with that in a separate way, but we shouldn't paint everyone with the same paintbrush. We shouldn't be, I mean, my colleague, Iwan Ingram, he didn't start here, but he's here now. And he's fighting on behalf of the organization that opened their arm, and he's a part of it. So that's the difference between membership, because supporters could come and go, but as a member of this party, you have a responsibility. I wish we, this might be a little bit controversial, but I wish we used the disciplinary aspect of our party more. Because no one should be a member of this organization and tearing it down. And if you want to tear it down, just give up your membership. But you shouldn't be a part of this organization and trying to erode the very trust and reputation and everything we build. And I think if there's measures for accountability, those members should be held accountable. So we know that we need more than PLPs to win. And this may be controversial as well. I don't think, and this is my view, I don't think that people should be paid to fight for their party. I don't think so. My grandmother was never paid to be a PLP. She didn't come to the PLP because she was looking for something. She came to the PLP because she understood the mission at the moment. She understood what was at stake. She didn't come and say, listen, man, if I don't get my contract, I could forget me. I already are. Because it was bigger than now. I do believe that we have a responsibility to empower our people, but that's fundamentally different. That's fundamentally different. And we got to believe that there is something bigger than ourselves when we're joining this organization. And that's the true meaning of PLP. It's the mission. And you got to have the heart to be a part of the mission. So I'm happy, PLPs, to be a part of an organization that gave me the ability to be here right now. I'm happy to serve a prime minister who took a chance on a young man who was 27 years old to speak on behalf of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I'm happy. I'm happy to show you that succession is working. And it's not about Latrae. I no doubt that there are persons who are proud of where I've been able to come so far. But it's like people like Brian Lowe from Grand Bahama and Abaco, who've been following the PLP from 2017, and he's now joining the PLP. It's about that. It's about other young people wanting to join this organization and be a part of it. Because it cannot be about personalities. It cannot be about Latrae. It cannot be about Chairman Mitchell or DJ or Danny Johnson or the Prime Minister. It got to be about something bigger than any one person. So I leave you with this, PLPs and members of the Man Branch. National Man Branch, I've corrected, that there is a lot at stake. We do have an administration that believes in stop, review, and cancel. I don't think that Michael Pintard is better than the current Prime Minister. I do believe that you will never find someone who has the heart than Philip Edward Davis. I've never seen someone who worked as hard as he do. I remember I was in a meeting and he said, everyone said to the person he was talking to, he said, okay, everyone have hard mode in the public, but when I'm looking them in their eyes, face to face, this is a guy who, whether he's on the side, the opposite of the Vice President of the United States, Secretary General of the United Nations, or whatever President or Prime Minister, he will say that I am here to advocate for and on behalf of the people of the Bahamas. And so he understands that the time and space that we're living in is changing. I think that's something that we have to also look at as an organization. When we're in opposition, it's all hands on deck. It's that transition from opposition to government that we have not been able to get right. Far too often, even people like myself, we get too busy being in government. And we forget that it's the organization that got us there. So we got to find a balance to make sure that we don't shut the party off to be a government and it takes too long to restart it in the general election. So we got to prepare for 2026 now. We can't wait until 2025 or 2026. And so whatever things that we ought to make good, we got to start doing it now. We got to deliver on our blueprint for change. I have no doubt that at the ending of 2026, we would have been good on that. I want to thank you for having me. I want you to know that I know I've seen your efforts. I've seen the work that you're doing. You're an inspiration and I was happy when I saw him, the treasurer, talking about the end of the year statements and summit, because that shows you that our branches are working and it's accountability and reporting. So it's good to see that level of professionalism in our organization and that transparency, that stewardship. And so let's congratulate ourselves that we're part of an organization that builds the modern Bahamas. Let's congratulate ourselves that we're part of an organization that's the only party that could deliver on change. Let's congratulate ourselves that we are the only party that can represent and write the next chapter of the next Bahamian history. Thank you for having me, and God bless you. Have a good day.